and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome to the start of your weekend, because this right here is a very big video indeed. We are going to be covering the big breaking news, which sees Coutinho on his way back to the Premier League. We're going to be discussing all of the details and what that means for Ferran's registration. We're also going to be talking, of course, about Barca's game coming up tomorrow against Granada. It's a massive game for Xavi, and we're going to be discussing all of the latest team news from Ansu Fati to Memphis to Gavi, Pedri, and plenty more besides. There's lots coming up, so let's get to it. But if we do indeed kick off with that big breaking news, because yes, Philippe Coutinho has returned to the Premier League. It has become official today that Aston Villa will sign him on loan until the end of the current season. It's a real statement signing, I feel, from Villa. A massive, massive name coming into their club, and of course that was helped by the influence of their coach, Steven Gerrard, who was influential in convincing Coutinho to make the move there to the Midlands. And of course, for Barca, this is an absolutely crucial move there to move Coutinho away from the club, and most importantly, away from our wage bill. And the big question has always been, how much of those wages are Aston Villa going to be paying in this loan deal? Well, right now, there are contrasting reports right throughout the media. We know that Coutinho earns at Barca around €440,000 a week in that deal that runs until 2023. It appears that right now Villa will pay at least 50% of those wages, and it's even being said right now that after taxes and bonuses and all of that kind of stuff, Villa may indeed be paying between 65 to 70% of Coutinho's salary. That is absolutely massive and so important when it comes to our finances, and it's exactly the kind of deal that we were hoping for. Now, of course, this is strictly a loan deal for Coutinho, but there is an option to buy included in that agreement there between Villa and Barca. It's believed there that option to buy ranges between €35 million and €40 million, which is interesting because that is a fee that is achievable for Villa. Because in the summer just gone, of course, they received a whopping £100 million for Jack Grealish, with that money coming in from Man City, and it all depends really on how much of an impact Coutinho makes, if he really slots into their team, if he's highly influential. That fee there, it is very much a possibility, and I just personally hope there that Coutinho starts fresh. You know, he's going away from Barca now, returning to the Premier League where he knows well. He knows Steven Gerrard very, very well, and I just hope that together, the two of them can rekindle some of that old magic. We saw a fantastic player in Coutinho at Liverpool, and I just hope that he can play well enough and do it consistently enough there in an Aston Villa shirt that at the end of the season make them seriously consider buying him permanently. But of course the big question as well, not only there about Coutinho's exit, but what that will mean now for the registration of Ferran Torres. Now, the first thing to note is that registration cannot happen just yet. Barca, though, are in constant dialogue with La Liga. You know they're not going to make things easy for us in these situations, but there's no reason right now to be concerned, because yes, although we can't technically register Ferran yet, that's only because this Coutinho exit hasn't been 100% finalised. Yes, you can see there the official agreement between the two clubs. That has obviously been made very public, but what needs to happen now is Coutinho needs to fly to England to go there and undergo his medical at Aston Villa and sign on the dotted line. But of course he can't do that until he has fully recovered from COVID. That has not quite happened yet, and until he does, it will not be 100% done. But once it is, Barca are very, very confident that once those wages there have been removed from that wage bill, the allowance and the freedom that will give us, we will be able to register Ferran Torres. And Barca are even saying right now that in that time that it's going to take for Coutinho to go to England to get everything wrapped up and finalised, by then, in the few days' time, we may indeed confirm another departure too, which will only help the process of registering Ferran. It's getting closer, and this is a massive, massive deal, not only for Ferran's registration, but like I said before, removing the majority of those huge, huge wages. And I wish Coutinho back in the Premier League. the very best of luck. Also though, today guys, there is some news on the Copa del Rey. The draw has been made for the round of 16 stage, and as you can see right here, Barça have been handed a pretty difficult draw. We will head now away in a one-leg tie to Athletic Club, heading there to San Mamés in a repeat, of course, of last year's final. And that is going to be a real test that's going to be coming to us very soon, because that game will indeed be played in January. It's a very heavily congested fixture list this month. But between there, the Super Cup, it all depends on how we progress in that tournament. We're going to fit the game in somewhere around that time. But if we now move on to the big game, and the game that we are looking forward to this weekend, as Barça travel to Granada. It is not going to be an easy one on Saturday there, 6:30 p.m. local time. And believe me, we have to go into this game pushing for another win, pushing those above us as we bid to enter the top four, because this right now is how the table is looking in La Liga. Barça are coming into this game in 5th place in the league. We are 1 point behind Atletico Madrid and only 2 behind Real Betis, and that is really significant, especially this weekend, because there's some big games, big games happening. You look there on Sunday, Rayo Vallecano, of course, who've been brilliant at home this season, they will play against 3rd place Betis, and Atleti will travel to Villarreal, which is never ever going to be an easy game. So there are certainly going to be opportunities again this weekend for Barça to make up ground on those around them. What we have to do is focus on our job and find a way of getting all 3 points. But when it comes, of course, to the players that Xavi will have at his disposal this weekend, Ferran Torres, like I say, is not registered yet. He's also still got COVID and still recovering from his injury anyway, so he wouldn't have played even if he was registered in this game tomorrow. Also unavailable due to COVID is Pedri, unfortunately, but as soon as he has recovered from that, he will be back and ready to go in this team. He's now fully recovered from his injury. Ansu Fati, that is of course a big talking point. We all want to see Ansu back on the field as soon as possible. Xavi unfortunately says that Ansu will not play in tomorrow's game. There's no new problem, there's no setback, but Barca are being so cautious right now with Ansu. But the exciting news is that Xavi says Ansu will be available for the SUPERCOPA next week, which is a really exciting prospect. Another interesting name to keep an eye on next week will be Ronald Araujo, because of course he has been ruled out there with a fractured hand. The good news is though, is that he went through successful surgery on that today, and Barca don't rule out him being involved in some capacity next week. Xavi says that it won't be easy, but it is certainly possible that Araujo could make it back in time. And also tomorrow, we will see the returns to the squad for Memphis Depay, who's recovered well, he's trained well, and Xavi says that he'll be back. And also in midfield, Gavi will return, which for us is massive. And so when you are looking at the possible lineup heading into tomorrow's game, of course Ter Stegen there is going to return in goal, and let's hope he's really buoyed by that late save that he pulled off there against Mallorca. And the really exciting news as well is that following on from his good display, it was a really impressive display in midweek against Linares, Dani Alves is expected to start there once again at right back. And I do wonder here, with Dani Alves now available, Jordi Alba fit and ready, will we see Barca under Xavi revert to a back four there with 2 very natural fullbacks possibly in those areas, and especially now without Araujo at centre-back? I think it's going to be Piqué, and alongside him I would go there with Eric Garcia at the centre of defence. In midfield though, this is when it gets tricky. With the absence of course of the injured Frenkie de Jong, it is again this B-team rule that's really plaguing our selections, because obviously there you're going to have Sergio Busquets, but then you can't really have Nico and Gavi in your starting lineup. Ideally there, you would want a midfield of Busquets, Gavi, Nico. Done. Absolutely fantastic there without Pedri, without De Jong. That is the strongest midfield that we could have. But the problem is, if you play both of those, you can't then play Jukla and Abde who's returned. And ideally, I would like to see Abde on the left. I would like to see Jutla down the middle. I think he's been so impressive in that area. Another goal that he scored against Linares. And if you want to play both of those, then you can only play one of Gavi or Nico. So do you go then with the midfield three of Busquets, of Gavi, and leave Nico on the bench, replace him maybe with Riqui Puig, who didn't show the best version of himself against Linares in midweek? Then in attack, do you indeed go with Abde? Do you go with Jutla? And I think Dembele is definitely going to start in this game, regardless of his contract situation. We are limited right now, and Xavi says that he could definitely play in this game. Or do you bring Memphis back in? Is he ready to start a game? And if he is, do you replace Jutla with him? Very harsh it seems that would be, but if you did that then you could play Nico, Abde, and indeed Gavi. And this is the problem that Xavi has right now. La Liga say that you cannot have 4 B-team players in your team. If you do that, and then one of the first-team players gets sent off, you lose the game. It's as simple as that, and it is a ridiculous rule, but that is the issue that we have right now. Whilst Gavi, whilst Nico are registered as Barça B-team players, it's difficult to get everybody in the team at the same time, and that is why, for me, I would bring in Riqui Puig, Nico to the bench. I'd certainly bring him on, of course. You're going to see him at some point in the game. Get Gavi back in there, play Abde, and Jutla from the start. Memphis can come off the bench and have an impact there. But I think this is a good team, and a really solid team, to go and face Granada in a must-win game. But of course, guys, there is predictions still to cover in today's video, because you guys are very confident of a win here away at Granada, and also a win with a decent margin. With a win by 2 goals, the overwhelming favourite among you guys, and I am going to go absolutely with you on that one. Against Mallorca, I got it right. I said Barca 1, Mallorca 0. Here, let's double it. Let's go for Granada 0. Barça 2 in this game. We've got a bit more firepower. We've got some players coming back. The confidence is really good, but let's keep that going, especially heading into the Super Cup next week against Real Madrid. Let's win this one, pile the pressure on in La Liga, try and move into the top 4, and let's get this done. Come on! Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. How would you line up if you were Xavi? And in amongst all of those restrictions, what would your starting lineup be? What are your predictions in terms of the score? Can we get another win? Let's hope so. I will see you tomorrow, guys. And I thank you indeed for joining me here today. I will see you then. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.